What's going on, guys? Tom Costanza here, back with another YouTube video. Today, I'm going to be putting my skills to the test. We are going to be making cinnamon raisin bread. This is going to be my gateway into making sourdough bread. We're going to start with something easy like cinnamon raisin bread, and then we're going to work our way up. I have a little bit of a background just from making pizza dough, but this is going to be a test to see that if I can do it, so can you. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so we have all ingredients fully lined up here. Now, what I'm gonna do prior to putting everything into the bowl is just properly break it down, put it into its own container. That way I could just throw everything in the bowl. I know it's already measured correctly. So let's get into that. So we have all of our ingredients measured out here. I think the way that the recipe makes it seems that you just throw all of the ingredients into a bowl, mix it up, and then start kneading it. I'm gonna stick to the basics of making pizza, where you throw in your water, your milk, your yeast, you mix that up, then you throw in the rest of the ingredients, then you start kneading. So we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, let's get started. So the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of lukewarm milk. I just have whole milk here. And also anywhere from 1/4 of a cup to 1/3 of a cup of lukewarm water. And then the next thing that I'm gonna add is gonna be 1/4 of a cup of light brown or dark brown sugar. In this case, I'm using light brown. And then I'm gonna be adding in my rapid rise yeast. And then I'm just gonna mix this together first to make sure that it's all combined and diluted. Okay, and then once that's fully mixed in, I'm gonna start adding all of the dry ingredients. So the recipe calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour. This is actually a King Arthur recipe, so you can probably find it online. I could also leave a link in the description. It's a King Arthur recipe that we're using. Then it is 1/2 cup of oats, 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter, and then 1/2 cup of raisins. All right, so first I'm just gonna use my fork, mix everything together, and hope that it comes to somewhat of a dough similar to pizza. Okay, so we have our mixture pretty mixed together. We're now gonna dump it out on the table and see if we could form this into a dough. I basically want to knead this until the dough becomes super smooth. So might be able to see the dough is not super smooth yet. It's basically ripping apart very easily. And the reason why we need it is so that it builds the gluten in the dough. That way it can expand and create a rounded shape and so that it doesn't rip. So I'm gonna keep kneading here and then we'll check back in once I have a nice dough ball. Okay, so just finished kneading. It's been about, I'd say 5 minutes or so. I can already tell just by the texture of the dough that it is a very low hydration, meaning that its percentage of the hydration is very low. So there's not a lot of water compared to how much flour there is in it. But we're gonna treat this like a pizza dough. Since it's pretty beaten down right now, I'm gonna cover this for about 15 minutes, see if it relaxes a little bit, and then we'll check back in 15 minutes. We'll see what it looks like in 15 minutes. Okay, so 15 minutes later, we have our dough ball. It is a lot softer. It's still pretty firm. I guess just because of the hydration in the dough. We're gonna ball it up best that we can. And then the rule is to put this in a bowl for about 2 hours. So grease the bowl lightly, put it in a bowl for 2 hours and cover it and then check back in. I'm gonna go watch YouTube for the next 2 hours, so we'll check in then. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours and the dough has definitely risen. I wouldn't say it's doubled, but it's definitely risen. It's a little bit cold in here, so that could be why. But we're gonna take our dough out of our bowl. This next step is pretty easy. So we're just gonna take it out. And this part's just gonna be really just to shape it. So we're just gonna shape it a little bit. Cinch our bottom. Then we have our bread loaf pan. So basically what I'm gonna do, we're gonna lightly grease our bread loaf pan. And basically, I just formed the dough like this. So pretty much fits, should fit right in. So it's pretty roughly the same size. And all we're gonna do is gonna throw our loaf right in. And then we cover it for an additional 1.5 to 2 hours and let it fully rise again. I turned the heat up in the apartment a little bit. I'm down south, it's a high of 86 today. So yeah, I know for all you winter people up north, it's very nice. But we're gonna leave this covered for about another 2 hours or so. Hope that it rises a little bit more. Now, instead of watching YouTube for these next 2 hours, I'm actually gonna go grocery shopping for my essentials for the week. And then we'll check back in another 2 hours. See you then. Okay guys, so it's been about an hour and a half. For the second round of proofing, I actually just put it into the oven, threw a towel over it, and turned the light on. Typically heats it to about 80 degrees, so better than the air temperature right now, which is about 70 degrees. So proofed up a good amount. I'll show you a close-up of what it looks like, but the next step is just to throw it in the oven, bake it for 40 to 45 minutes until it's a golden brown. You can put a little brush with water on the top, throw some cinnamon sugar on there. I kind of want to make this a little bit healthier rather than a dessert, so we're going to avoid the cinnamon sugar, but we're going to pop this in the oven 40 to 45 minutes, and then we'll check in after that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have our bread here in the loaf pan still. Just took it out of the oven, it's still piping hot. I'm gonna wait probably a good 10-15 minutes, let it cool down a little bit, then see if I can get the bread out of the pan, and then we have to let it come completely to room temperature before we can cut into it. But looks really good. I'll show you an up close right now, and then once we take it out of the pan. But the smell in this apartment right now is amazing. Just the cinnamons and the raisins, it smells phenomenal. It takes me back to my 8th grade years. We had this thing called Marketplace where we would cook during the holidays, and cinnamon raisin bread was actually one of the things that we cooked. So I'm starting to get those flashbacks, that nostalgia, but we'll check back in once this is a little bit cooler. We got this thing out of the mold, and this thing is just a thick beast. Looks really good though. Can't wait to cut into it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are in our final stages of cutting into this bread. It is fully cool. It is fully cool, at least to my touch. Now we're going to set up the right shot. That way we can have an attractive cut. Okay, here we go. Not as many raisins as I expected, but it smells great. Let's get one slice. Here we go, we have our slice. Okay, and here we go for a taste test. It's not bad. I would say if you throw maybe a little bit of jelly on it, or you throw some condiments on it, I would say that's where it really shines. The oats are a little bit weird in it. I do really like the cinnamon and the raisin flavor though. I also wish that there were a little bit more raisins. The oats are definitely a little weird. I would say all it needs, honestly, is just a little bit of like a liquid ingredient just to combat the dryness. But it could have been that I left it out this entire time too cool. I just threw a towel on it. Could have been a combination of things, but I would say one, the oats are weird. Second, if you throw some sort of jelly, even peanut butter, honey on it, 10 out of 10. It does have great flavor. The good thing about this bread is you actually know what you put in it. The breads that you buy at the store, who knows what's in those breads. All right, now let's cut to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching the video all the way through. If you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe, comment down below a recipe that you guys want me to make sometime down into the future. Make sure you are subscribed for next week's video. And if you guys are new to the channel, I'm gonna drop a playlist over here so that you guys can watch. That way you can catch up to speed. See you guys next week, every single Sunday morning. Peace.